There's been talk from Prime Minister Trudeau's government of instituting laws to make fake news illegal. But did you know that there already was a law making fake news illegal on the books, and that it was struck down by the Supreme Court of Canada and removed from the criminal code by the same Trudeau government? Today on Don't Talk TV, we'll have a look at that law. Hello, my name is Nicholas Wansbutter. I'm a lawyer in Stratford, Ontario, Canada, and welcome to Don't Talk TV. A faithful viewer of Don't Talk TV recently sent in a question and a show suggestion to us about Section 181 of the Criminal Code of Canada. That's the section that made it illegal to publish fake news. So today we're going to take a look at that. It's a bit ironic given that the current government has been talking about bringing in such laws. But today we'll have a look firstly at Section 181 and what it said. Secondly, we'll look at Bill C-75, which removed Section 181 from the Criminal Code in 2019. And then finally, we'll look at why that's actually not nefarious or a big deal because of a Supreme Court of Canada decision from the 1990s. So first of all, let's just take a look at what the law used to be. So this law was put into the Criminal Code in 1954, Section 181 of the Criminal Code, and it stated, "Everyone who willfully publishes a statement, tale, or news that he knows is false, and that causes or is likely to cause injury or mischief to a public interest, is guilty of an indictable offense and liable to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 2 years." So I think it's fairly self-explanatory. It made fake news illegal, but notice that Crown would have to prove that they knew it was false, and secondly, that it causes or is likely to cause injury or mischief to the public interest. Now, as I said, that's no longer in the Criminal Code since 2019. So here we've got Bill C-75 open from the 42nd Parliament that ended in September 2019. You can see the history of it here. Made its way through third reading in the Senate in June 13 of 2019. And we can take a look at the bill here. Received royal assent June 21st, 2019. And here simply Clause 62 just says Section 181 of the Act is repealed. So as of June 2019, that was no longer the law, but it really isn't that big of a deal because of the case of Her Majesty the Queen in Zundel, it was still the Queen back then, 1992, which ruled that this is not good law. The Supreme Court decision I mentioned involved a gentleman named Ernst Zundel. He's described by Wikipedia as a neo-Nazi publisher and pamphleteer of Holocaust denial literature. He is German, but lived in Canada from 1958 to 2000. And as indicated, he was ultimately charged under Section 181. He was convicted, appealed, and it ended up being appealed all the way to the Supreme Court. And then we have the decision, Zundel versus Her Majesty the Queen, 1992 to SCR 731. Just look at the summary of the case. I'll leave the link in the show description as always if you want to read it in more detail. But it summarizes that the accused was charged with spreading false news contrary to Section 181 of the Criminal Code. The charge arose out of the accused's publication of a pamphlet entitled, "Did 6 Million Really Die?" The ruling of the majority of the Supreme Court was that Section 181 of the Code infringes the guarantee of freedom of expression. Section 2B of the Charter protects the right of a minority to express its view, however unpopular it may be. All communications which convey or attempt to convey meaning are protected by Section 2B unless the physical form by which the communication is made, for example a violent act, excludes protection. The content of the communication is irrelevant. So as a result of that decision, Section 181 of the Criminal Code hasn't been good law for decades, and Bill C-75 was really just some housekeeping to remove something from the Criminal Code that had been rendered unusable and of no force and effect by the Supreme Court for many years. That's why I said at the beginning that there isn't really anything nefarious here. I know some people were upset. The person who asked me about this was concerned that this was a way to protect mainstream media. Really, I think the removal of that section protects alternate media because, again, on the practical order, I don't see mainstream media ever being charged under those sections of the Criminal Code. They never have been. The only people who have ever been charged are people like Mr. Zundel who present unpalatable and unpopular opinions. So I think it's a good decision by the Supreme Court, and it's good that it's no longer part of the criminal code, just to avoid any confusion. So today we've covered Section 181 of the Criminal Code, we've covered Bill C-75, and we've looked at the Supreme Court decision that really gave rise to C-75's amendment to the Criminal Code on the topic of Section 181. This video, of course, is not legal advice. If you need legal advice, contact a lawyer. You can call myself or another lawyer. My phone number and my website are listed below. If there's topics you'd like to see me cover, please leave a comment in the comment section or send an email to the email address listed below. And if you found this video at all interesting, helpful, or informative, please consider liking, sharing, subscribing, and following us on social media.